truth and right, to advance with love and light, with righteousness leading. We hail to our God and our King, humanity pleading, one God for us all. Ethiopia, the tyrants are falling, who once more be underneath. Children are radically calling from over Jadis and sea. Jehovah, the great one, has heard us. He has come to protect us from wrong. He has sent his holy angels to guide us and to protect us in this land. God bless our Neguselam, who keeps Ethiopia free and to advance with truth and right, to advance with love and light, with righteousness leading. We hail to our God and our King, humanity pleading, one God for us all.
Greetings, Neguselam, chaplain. Welcome in. Is your mic available? Yes, I.
Neguselam. Sila. Neguselam. Greetings, one and all. Once again, blessed rising in this time of restoration and liberation. Sila. 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 Give thanks. Welcome again to another session of the state of Neguselam. Section 7, 7 Tawahido covenants. Negus, covenant of mercy. New wine, the mystery, Gesso, and the new fast, and the mystery of the Holy Table. Part 3, March 3rd, 23, 2025, Gregorian calendar. The Negus golden rule. Do not reward evil for evil. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Yes, I. Sila, sila, sila. Mr. Mebrak, Ali. Atu Ab, Wed, Memphis Kudus, Highly Cal, Abakadus Kenamawi, Ali Selassie, Exibia, Bahaman Ab, Wed, Memphis Kudus, Highly Cal, Abakadus Kenamawi, Highly Selassie, Exibia. One is the Holy Father, one is the Holy Son, one is the Holy Irit through the might and power of peace, the might and power of the Kudus, the Lasti, an instrument thereof, the Lord's our anointed King of our tribe. Truly, the Father is holy. Truly, the Son is holy. Truly, the Holy Irit is holy. Power of peace of the Holy Kudus, the might and power, an instrument of the Kudus Selassie. Abakudus Kenamawe, Ali Selassie, Siam Exebeha, anointed Lord of our tribe. Our Father, Selat, our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as I and I forgive those who trespass against I and I. Strengthen us in temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, world without end, through the name and power of the Negus, Katamawe, Moen Bessa Ziminagati Zuhuta, the Giza Geta, Abacadus Kitamawe, Adisalati Siam Exhibit, the true and faithful witness of the Kadus Selassie. Sila, sila, sila. Neguselam, Lekemu, Malcolm Negatu, Abacadus Kadamawe, Highly Selassie Siam Exhibit, the Negusi Negesitu, Yedeli Meskele, Ye Ethiopia Kaheb, Negusi, Ye Negusi Kadus Tewede, Amlakana Hailena Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Masagana, Amlakana Hailena Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailena Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailena Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amasagana, Amlakana Hailena Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Amas Agana. The King of Peace be unto you. Blessed rising with the victorious, glorious one, our Holy Father, the glorious, the Aman, the might and power and instrument of the Holy Kudus, the Lord's anointed King of our tribe, Lord of the land, the Emperor's cross of victory, Ethiopia, Star King, Negus, King, Emperor, Holy, coronation, our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains upon Tauta, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains, upon Tauta, that comes with good tidings of peace and of joy and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the Negus of Israel. For Israel's Negus is Israel's God, is Israel's protector, is Israel's everything. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom and of joy, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the Negus of Beta Israel. For better Israel's king is better Israel's God, is better Israel's everything. Hosanna, Hosanna. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom and of joy that comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. For in this time, better Israel's Negus is better Israel's Amlak, is better Israel's everything. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Untauto, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom and of joy, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak. Glory in the highest to our Negus. Better Israel's Negus is better Israel's Amlak, is better Israel's everything. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the King of Israel. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. Hosanna, Hosanna. Great David's greatest son. Hosanna, Hosanna. Selah, Selah, Selah. Glory in the highest. Star King. Prayer for Ethiopians' deliverance to be said thrice daily. Said by the Friends of Ethiopia in 1937, composed by our favorite matriarch, the wife of the holy angel messenger sent unto I, Dr. Maliku E. Bayan. Prayer for Ethiopians' deliverance to be said thrice daily. O Exhibir of our fathers and Lord of mercy, who has made all things by thy wise word and ordained man through thy wise mind, that he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made, and over the world according to equity and righteousness. Execute judgment with an upright heart. Give wise mind to thy servant, Emperor Katamari Adisalasi, thy elect, whom thou hast raised up from the east to deliver and mete out thy judgments to the nations of the world. Bestow upon him, we pray, wise mind in like measure as unto Solomon, that he may sway the scepter of thy promise with equity. Selah, Selah, Selah. Let I write again. O Exhibir of our fathers and Lord of mercy, who has made all things by thy word and ordained man through thy wise mind, that he should have dominion over the creatures which thou hast made, and over the world according to equity and righteousness, and execute judgment with an upright heart. Give wise mind to thy servant, Emperor Katamari Adisalasi, thy elect, whom thou hast raised up from the east to deliver and mete out thy judgments to the nations of the world. Bestow upon him, we pray, wise mind in like measure unto Solomon, that he may sway the scepter of thy promise with equity and in righteous judgment to all who have robbed and bespoiled I. Have mercy upon I, Siam, Exhibir of all, and send thy fear upon the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand upon the strange nations who are possessed I, and let them see thy power. As thou wast sanctified in I before them, so be thou magnified among them before I. Let them know thee, we have known thee, that there is no Amlak but thou, O Siam, Exhibir. Show new signs and make strange wonders. Raise up in the nations and your wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy our enemies. Remember thy covenant. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Shorten the day, O Siam Exhibir, that thy people everywhere shall stretch forth their hands unto thee. Let them that spoil I everywhere be consumed with the rage of thy fire, and let them perish that oppress and rob I continually. Have mercy upon thy peculiar people who are called by thy name, O Siam Exhibir, and scattered among the nations. Give courage to those that possess thee, and frustrate the designs of the enemies within and without, and return their evils upon their own heads. Reward them that faithfully serve in leading thy people everywhere, and destroy our enemies speedily, that they would know that there is no Amlach like unto Ethiopia's Siam Exhibit. Hasten the day of universal brotherhood, when all mankind shall invoke thy name in irit and in truth, when idolatry and superstition shall no longer enslave our minds or blind our eyes. Fireball, hot, help I to know and keep thy commandments. Hear our prayers and fear I with thy true irit, that all who dwell upon the earth may know that thou art the only exhibit, the everlasting and eternal, Sim exhibit, a living man. For unto us a child was given, unto us a son was born, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And this is whereby the name that he shall be called. Oh, wonderful counselor, the mighty Jah, the everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Selah, Selah, Selah. The Voice of Ethiopia, Volume 1, number 33, Ethiopian New Year, September 11, 1937. Give thanks. Selah, Selah, Selah. King of Kings speaks on personal responsibility. Let us all follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. Let the officials follow it closely. Let them serve their people and their country with humility and diligence. But diligence and humility and service to one's country are not the task of officials only. They are not the task of anyone alone. The present project will demand close contact and cooperation between all of us. Selah. Officials whom we have entrusted various degrees of responsibility, guided by the example of Negus Christ, who, having declared, I came to serve you, not to be served by you, brought himself low and washed the feet of his disciples, must render service to the people without charge for these services. As we repeated many times over in our last pronouncement, we would like again to emphasize the value of time and urge you to dedicate yourselves to hard work and profitably utilize your time. There is no energy in the world, including that of the atom, that cannot be controlled. However, there is no scientist on Earth who could control, even for a second, the flow of time. For this reason, never idle away your time, however briefly. Is it not you, her children, that are referred to as Ethiopia? Our lasting hope has ever been with the help of the Almighty. To help promote the interests and well-being for our people, not to get disillusioned by remote hopes and wishful thinking. May Siam exhibit help I in fulfillment of I undertakings. Neguselam speaks on personal responsibility. For we, the black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, we do hereby establish and ordain this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation, incorporated unto His Imperial Majesty, Abakudus Kedamare, Haile Selassie, Siam Exhibir, Monbesa Zemanagati Suhuta, as Commander-in-Chief of the Mahel Safari Forces of Ethiopia, in accordance with the 1931 Constitution granted by him, Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, Article 29. The Emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of Parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained, both in times of peace and in time of war. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege, martial law, or a national emergency, and to take such measures are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire, and to assure its defense and integrity. It is in this light that we get the light from the Masafa Bahan, the book of light. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 4. I have given him for a witness to the people, a commander, a leader to the people. Selah. Isaiah 55, 4 through 5 describes the suffering servant as a witness, leader, and commander to his people. In this sense, he's looked at upon as suffering, for he had to go forward and fight against those nations who refused to uphold the treaty of the Kellogg Brand Pact that he signed with them on October 8th, 1928, that said outlawed war as a response, for every nation will remove it from their cabinets and deal with coercive working together for a solution to the problems. But they crucified him as the first African king to join the League of Nations of European nations after the Berlin Conference and the Scramble for Africa. Therefore, he had to go forward from his kingdom and appeal and for behalf of international law and morality of humanity. So, with no help, therefore, he's described as suffering servant, for he witnessed the atrocities done against his people. So here in Isaiah 55, verse 4 through 5, he's looked upon as a suffering servant and a victorious, glorious commander, a witness and leader and commander to the people. This means that the servant represents Exhibiha, fireball hot. This means that the servant represents Exhibiha in his title as Shem Exhibiha, the one anointed by Exhibir to uphold his irat in this time. Shem Exhibir is the same as saying Jah Rastafari. But we're going into the heights of the throne room heights in the original pure language. For he said, I shall return to the people of pure language. So in the essence, in the spirit of the fisherman who said, Hallelujah, Rastafari, Siam, Exhibir is the Ethiopian equivalent to that phrase in the Amharic and the Ge'ez language. Siam, Exhibir. This means that the servant represents Elohim, his imperial majesty, the El Elyon, the Lion of Zion. This means that the servant represents Exhibir, leads people to follow him, and commands people to obey him. Witness, the servant represents and speaks in Exhibir name. Hosanna, Hosanna. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the Negus of Israel. How beautiful are the feet of him who comes from the mountains of Antauto with good tidings of peace and of freedom, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlat. For the suffering servant shall go forward and shall return from the mountains, bringing the charter of freedom and liberation and restoration for the holy nation. The servant represents and speaks in Exhibir name. Abakudus Katamawe Haile Selassie. Siam Exhibir Haile Kal, the power of peace of the Kidus Selassie. Haile Selassie, the sitting king who reigns over the hearts of I, who sits within the precious chasuble of Melchizedek, as Selah Meleket, he who rises our prayers and iris and hearts up to Exhibir through the divine throne of David. For great David's greater son has returned. Oh, hail him, for his days on earth has begun. The leader, the servant, teaches people to profit and leads them in the right way. He leads people out of their own ways and into his ways. Selah. The servant commands people to obey him. He is wise, powerful, valiant, and courageous leader who is always victorious. Gatamari, Gatamari, victorious, glorious. Malcolm Negatu, rise, blessed rising with the glorious, victorious Negus. The servant calls a nation that was ignorant of true faith, the dry bones down in the valley of death, scattered among the nations. The servant calls a nation that was ignorant of true faith. Nations will eagerly run to serve him because he glorified the only true and living Exhibir. Kedus Selassie, Sila, Halikel, Abakadus Kadamawi, Katamawi, Aili, Selassie, Siam, Exhibir, Sila, Sila, Moan Basa Zamanagate Jehoda, Ali, Selassie, Siam, Exhibir. Yes, I. The true and faithful witness. I and I hola, witness in Christ. I and I holy, leader in Christ. I and I holy, commander in Christ. Isaiah 55, verse 4. The holy emancipator and the holy liberator. Selah. Isaiah, in accordance, along with Zechariah 14, describes the second coming of Christ. The last siege of Jerusalem. The last siege of Jerusalem and the millennial kingdom that follows the Ethiopian millennium. Selah, right in Moan Bessa, Zimnigated to who that time. The chapter also describes the signs of the times before Christ is coming and the fate of the enemies of the church. Selah. The tabernacle of tabernacles, the feast of tabernacles. Selah, Selah. Zechariah 14, verse 16 through 21 describes the festival of tabernacles. which survivors from the nations that fought against Jerusalem will celebrate. For he is the holy chapel. He is the moving chapel. When we witness the last order of the coronation was to leave from the tabernacle and move out throughout the streets of the holy area. And they perched the tent over the head of the king as he exited the church, the temple, and came forward throughout the city to get into the motorcade to go forward. The same tent is symbolic as the tent over the ark, the tabota, Selah, for he is the holy chapel, the feast of chapels, Selah, the feast of tabernacles, the taba, Selah, the shield of Ionai, offense. Chapter 2, powers and prerogatives of the emperor in accordance with 1931 Ethiopian constitution granted by our victorious emperor. Article 29, Selah. The emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained, both in times of peace and in time of war. As commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and to confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege. This is why we're here right now about the state of siege. Remember that. Martial law or national emergency, and to take such measures as are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire and to assure its defense and integrity. Thus, while in battling the nations, as the prophecy said, with the word and sword of his mouth, his imperial majesty thought that it was just and right and needed measure to establish INI, the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, as the long associated with prophecy, to invite INI to enter into the holy Armageddon on the side of right. Thus, giving INI, the Ethiopian Cushite children scattered abroad, the opportunity to take part in the holy war of the holy word of the holy book. Selah, Selah, Selah. By establishing the Ethiopian World Federation, Selah, Selah. So, the state of siege, right here, that's mentioned, he has the right to declare a state of siege. This is the time of the New Jerusalem, last siege. This is the last siege when they come as Goliath, armed to the teeth. For the symbol of the fourth kingdom of the new Roman Empire is iron, because they come with the iron, and they think with the iron and might they shall overcome the right, the last siege. So this right here in this document, he has the right to declare a state of siege before establishing any other such measures. So under the state of siege, His Imperial Majesty established we, along with prophecy, and this Armageddon as the Ethiopian World Federation incorporated unto himself as commander-in-chief of the Mahel Safari forces. Mahel meaning those vowed unto the king. They make a pledge unto the king, and associated with the root word of the Ethiopia Kanawi Mahala, oath, Mahala, Mahel, Mahala, Mahel Safari, those who made vows of oath unto His Imperial Majesty. Selah, Selah, Selah. Yes, I and I, forwarding, forward in uprightness. Ha 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 ha. Oh, what a joy. The king that make the joy bells ring. and make I and I sing. Selah, Selah, Selah. With the holy invocation of the invitation to enter into the Armageddon. Selah. Oh, what a joy. Oh, what a joy. So we come to the holy matrimony of the bridegroom with his people in holy church. And we receive the holy gift of patrimony from his hand. For in his hand he did have a scroll. And we receive the holy patrimony from him. Patrimony definition, according to Oxford Languages and Webster. Noun, property inherited from one's father or male ancestor. Take note of that. Ha, because many of our African traditions talk about the matriarch and things that we shall receive from the matriarch. But this patrimony is received from the male ancestor. Aha, take note of that. Property inherited from one's father or male ancestor. Yeah. Heritage, an organization that saves the world's cultural patrimony by restoring historic buildings. So he gave I, the Ethiopian World Federation, as the holy, ordained organization granted by him to save the world's cultural patrimony, which is Ethiopia itself, as the oldest foundation for I, according to our king list given to I by our Holy Father, Abakudus Kedamawi Adiselasi. Isat Mebrak Hailai Sila. The 7 covenants of Ethiopia. According to the long living Ethiopian tradition, there are 7 covenants as enshrined in the scriptures that Exhibiha made with humanity ever since creation. These covenants is signified in the eternalized by the holy matrimony of Adam and Eve, Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 through 25, Matthew chapter 19, verses 4 through 6. The second, by the rainbow of Noah, Genesis 9 and chapter 8, verses 8 through 17. I pray that Genesis 9, verses 8 through 17. The third, by the bread and wine offering of Melchizedek, Genesis 14, verses 18 through 20. The fourth, by the circumcision of Abraham, Genesis chapter 17, verse 1 through 14. The fifth, by the ark of Moses, Deuteronomy chapter 5. And the sixth, by the throne of David, 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 8 through 18, verse 8 through 16, and the Psalm of David 132. The seventh and last, by the crucified body and blood of Negus Christ, born of the Virgin Mary, and Matthew 26, verse 26 through 29. Covenant as described and each symbolized by real signs are personified by the humble individuals who please exhibit with their true love for him. These persons became unique and parties of the respective covenants with exhibit following their singular triumphs over great trials of various physical and spiritual dimensions. And these trials were meant to be the truthfulness of their love for Exhibition before each one of them actually won his favor to be chosen as representative party for the Pacific Divine Covenant. These holy covenants constitute Ethiopia or the Ethiopian. These holy covenants constitute Ethiopia or the Ethiopian. In other words, Ethiopia or the Ethiopian is these 7 covenants. And these 7 covenants are Ethiopia or the Ethiopian. Outside of these 7 covenants, there is not an Ethiopian or Ethiopia. So you can't have an Ethiopia or Ethiopian without the observance of these 7 covenants. This brings light to our Father, our Holy Father words of responsibility when he's reinserted to I, reiterated to I, the meaning of the word Ethiopia. Let I go forward to his words so we can cite what our Father has said and what he was telling us in his speech on personal responsibility. He says, is it not you, her children, that are referred to as Ethiopia? Ethiopia is more than a place. It is a people. The word Ethiopia itself has a meaning. The sacred land of yellow gold, that when our exhibit shall come and be crowned as Siam Exhibiha, the anointed Negus of our tribe, the Lord of the land, we shall fashion a yellow golden crown for him, a yellow golden throne for him, a yellow golden scepter for him, with precious ancient robes from the Horeb dyed with the red ancientness from ancient time, and embroidered with gold thread, upon which shall be the precious chasuble of the Sila Melechit, which is the order of Melchizedek. For it is he who sits in the precious chasuble chest of Melchizedek, in order and command his tongue. For all tongues belong to the Negus. All tongues works on behalf of the Negus. If any tongue no work on behalf of the Negus, this is the time that man shall hang by them tongues. Fireball hot with the fire tongue upon them. Selah. So it is not you, her children, that are referred to as Ethiopia. So outside of these 7 covenants, there is not Ethiopia nor the Ethiopian. So I foundation is based upon the covenants given to I and the tradition given to I. So we can't practice without the throne of David, which is central to our faith and our Tawahedo faith. Selah, Selah, Selah. Isaiah 61:1. The iron of Siam Exhibir is upon I, to preach good tidings unto the meek. He has signed I to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound in the darkness of ignorance and lies. Ye Ethiopia Koheb Negusi, the star king of Ethiopia, Habakudus Kedamawe, Hadiselassie Siam, Exilbir, the light, the star king of Ethiopia, the state of Neguselam, a consciousness of innermost peace brought to embracing the reality of our true liberty through our promised Redeemer, the Lord our righteousness, and the Lord our vengeance. For vengeance is mine, said the Lord. John chapter 14, verse 27, Psalms 101. Testament of Levi, Selah, the testament of Levi. Then shall the Lord raise up a new priest, and to him all the words of the Lord shall be revealed. and he shall execute a righteous judgment upon the earth for a multitude of days, and his star shall arise in heaven as of a king, lighten up the light of knowledge as the sun, the day, and he shall be magnified in the world. Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, the star king, the root of David, the seed that saved it, the stem of Jesse, the seed that is blessed. Selah, testament of Levi. He shall shine forth as the sun on the earth, and shall remove all darkness from under heaven, and there shall be peace in all the earth. The heavens shall exult in his days, and the earth shall be glad, and the clouds shall rejoice, and the knowledge of the Lord shall be poured upon the earth as the waters of the seas. And the angels of the glory of the presence of the Lord shall be glad in him. The heavens shall be open, and from the temple of glory shall come upon him sanctification with the Father's voice, as from Abraham to Isaac, and the glory of the Most High shall be uttered over him in the water, over him, and the spirit irit of overstanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water. Note that, Selah, for he shall give the majesty of the Lord to his sons in truth forevermore, and none shall succeed him for all generations. Highly. So let's take notice here. A baptism, holy baptism, shall happen for the cleansing and the restoration of this Tawahido Negus, who shall wear the triple crown king of the Adhu Ab, Well, Memphis, Kudus, Selah, Selah, Selah. Yes, and we know this is different now from the first baptism of Iestus Christos in the river Jordan by John. For this shall take place, and it's surrounding the temple, the temple of glory. Yes, I. So here, let us go forward to the coronation time from New York Times, Sunday, November the 2nd, 1930. Coronation begins at dawn in Ethiopia. Envoys of many nations and tribal throngs fill capital for picturesque rites. Monarchs pray all night. All water is shut off until the emperor and his consort take a ceremonial bath. Yes, the ceremonial bath has to happen. Hoover, president from America, sends greetings, congratulates African sovereign who claims descent from Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Selah, 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 Selah. Here, monarchs pray in cathedral. There was no sleep in the palace because the emperor and his consort go forward to the paragraph leading with monarchs pray in cathedral. There was no sleep in the palace because the emperor and his consort, the queen, the empress Wazua Menin, were on their knees in the church of St. George's where the coronation ceremony take place. Aha. So after the baptism, the ceremonial baptism that each one of them took, they put on the ceremonial white communion robes. Then they went to the church and prayed all night to the rising sun. Then the coronation started at 7:30. Selah, Selah, Selah. All right, Selah. It says the entire water supply of Addis Ababa was shut off tonight until the emperor and his empress could take a ceremonial bath before beginning their all-night vigil in front of their crowns in St. George's Cathedral. The failure of the water supply mystified natives and foreigners alike, but was soon explained by the palace officials. So at that time, when the king and empress took their ceremonial baptismal bath, no one had water in the whole city of the new flower. All of these throngs of ones who had came from a foreign, none of them had water. Everyone had to be in solemn prayer, while the emperor and his queen took their holy ceremonial bath. And this headline news around the world, so this event shall never be forgotten by the generation that liveth it. They can't forget this headline of the coronation, the holy ceremonial bath. Yes, the holy ceremonial bath in accordance with the testimony of Levi. Word from the Mashafa Bahan, the book of light, Sila, Ethiopian. Yes, the heavens shall be opened from the temple of glory, shall come upon him, sanctification with the Father's voice, as from Abraham to Isaac, and the glory of the Most High shall be uttered over him, and the iron of understanding and sanctification shall rest upon him in the water, for he shall give the majesty of the Lord to his sons in truth forevermore, and none shall succeed him for all generations forever. Selah. In his priesthood, the Gentiles shall be multiplied in knowledge upon the earth and enlightened through the grace of the Lord. In his priesthood shall sin come to an end, and the lawless shall cease to do evil. And he shall open the gates of paradise and shall remove the threatening sword against Adam, and he shall give the saints to eat from the tree of life, and the spirit of holiness shall be on them, and Beliar shall be bound by him, and he shall give power to his children to tread upon the evil spirits, for he is the highly Akel of the Kudus Selassie. He is the power of sovereign peace, for he gives sovereign peace. He restores his sons and daughters through sovereign peace, for he whose mind is stayed upon thee, he shall keep them in perfect peace, for he has not given us the spirit of fear, but that of power and of a sound mind through his peace. So no one can remove or disturb them heavens, for no one, no man, no woman can stick their hand into the holy fire of the chasuble blessings of the prayer. For judgments and blessings shall come forward. Judgment and blessings shall come forward. So he shall renew his sons and daughters, and Beliar shall be bound by him, and he shall give power to his children to tread upon the evil spirits. And Adonai shall rejoice in his children, and be well pleased in his beloved ones forever. Then shall Abraham and Isaac and Jacob exalt, and I will be glad, and all the saints shall clothe themselves with joy. How beautiful are the feet of him that come from the mountains of Antalto, with good tidings of peace and of joy, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak, with the most power of our Amlak, which is that of peace. For they shall clothe themselves in joy. And now, my children, you have heard all. Choose therefore for yourselves either the light or the darkness, either the law of the Lord or the works of Beliar. And his sons answered him, saying, before the Lord will we walk according to his law. And their father said unto them, the Lord is witness, and his angels are witnesses, and you are witnesses, and I am witness concerning the word of your mouth. And his son said unto him, we are witnesses. Selah, Selah. And thus Levi ceased commanding his sons, and he stretched out his feet on his bed, and was gathered to his fathers after he had lived 137 years. Selah, Selah. Ethiopia, Koheb, Negusi. the Star King, the light, Sila, the light, Aliyah. In Ethiopian history, Ethiopian Itrates refers to resistant fighters, particularly the Abanach, who fought against Italian occupation during World War II. While Negus is the Amharic word for king or emperor, essentially the title used for the Ethiopian ruler, with the most well-known Negus being Emperor Kadamawe Haile Selassie, meaning Ethiopian patriots would be those fighting to protect their nation under the leadership of the Negus, Sila, state of Neguselam, consciousness of innermost peace brought to embracing the reality of our true liberty through our promised Redeemer, the Lord, our righteousness, and the Lord, our vengeance. For vengeance is mine, said the Lord of hosts. Selah. John 14, verse 27, Psalms 101. Empire. Selah. Definition of empire, an extensive group of states or countries under a single supreme authority, formerly especially an emperor or empress. Selah, Selah, Selah. The true and faithful witness of Christ. And Sia makes it bear. The state of Neguselam, a consciousness of innermost peace brought to embracing the reality of our true liberty through our promised Redeemer, the Lord our righteousness, and the Lord our vengeance. For vengeance is mine, said the Lord. Selah, John 14, chapter 27, Psalms 101. John 14, chapter 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Fireball. Psalm 101. I will sing of mercy and judgment unto thee, O Lord, see Exhibir, where I sing. I will behave myself wisely in the Ifrit way. O when wilt thou come into I will walk within my house with an Ifrit heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the works of them that turn aside. It should not cleave to I. A forward heart to depart from I, and I will not know a wicked person. Fireball, hot. Whoso previously slandered his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that has a hard look and a proud heart, but not I suffer. For my eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with I. He that walk in the Ifrit way, he shall serve I. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell in thy house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in thy sight. I will utterly destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of Siam Exhibir. Selah, Selah. Thus, at the holy coronation inside the temple of temples, our Mon Bethel Zemanagati Zehuda, the Geta Giza, the father of time, took the holy vow for the Memphis Kudus to enter into him and fulfill the fire purification of the world and the children, and taking this fire oath that he himself, as commander-in-chief of the angelic forces, Michael Georgius, will rise up early every light to cut off all weak hearts, so he may cut off all weak hearts from the city of the Lord. Selah, Selah. The slandering of the wicked tongue, the privily wicked tongue. Selah, Selah, Selah. Took captivity with the tongue. This means to gain power or control over someone through deceitful or manipulative speech, essentially capturing them with their words. The image of envy and jealousy. The image of envy and jealousy. Selah, who took I captive with the power of the tongue. Took captivity with the tongue. This means to gain power or control over someone through deceitful or manipulative speech, essentially capturing them with their word. Selah. Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Revelation 12, verse 1. Revelation 12, verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Revelation 2, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. The image of envy and jealousy, fireball. Revelation 12:4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Conflict of the irit with the flesh. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the irit, the things of the irit. For to be carnally minded is death. Fireball, hot. It's that my back, fire lightning. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be iridically minded is life and peace. The highly akel, the power of the Kiddush Selassie. Adu Ab, Adu Well, Adu Mefich Kiddush. The power of that is the holy akel with the Negus hold in his hand. Selah. For to be iridically minded is life and peace. For I am love, I am life, I am light, I am liberation. I am love, I am light, I am life, I am liberation. Selah. Because the carnal mind is an enmity between Habakkuk, Kinamari, Hadith Selassie, Shem, Exhibir. For this is not subject to the law of Exhibir, neither indeed can be. So them that are out of the flesh cannot please them, Exhibir, for those who sow to the flesh shall sow corruption and selfishness. Selah, Selah, Selah. The dragon tail, the riddleless letter, and the making of a slave. Chaos, chaos, supreme chaos, the power of chaos, the power of Babylon, versus the power of the Akel, the power of peace. Selah. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method of controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years to 2012. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves and make the differences bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy to control. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about it. Note, simple. The simplicity of this matter is simple. Take this simple list, this simple little list. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's only there because it starts with A. The second is color or shade. There's intelligence, size, sex, size of plantation, and status on plantations. Attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley or on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male. The young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Thank you, gentlemen. The dragon's tail, for which the tail of the dragon is slung a third part of the stars from heaven. Selah, Selah, Selah. Took captivity with the tail, fireball, and his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. The children of the Star King, he did cast them to the earth by pitting them one against each other. And the dragon stood before the woman and was ready to be delivered. So the dragon tail is distrust and fear and perfectly slandering each other instead of giving adulation and encouragement. So therefore, no disgruntlement is allowed. It may be as small as a size of a side of rice. That disgruntlement is detriment to the whole of the people. Fireborn disgruntlement, which is the seat of the dragon, which is confusion, to stop the mission of all of the congregation coming together. For behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sisters to dwell together in perfect love and peace. Fireball, for peace is the power of the Kedus Selassie. Disgruntlement, no, I'm going to work with him. I'm not going to work with her because he did this. I'm not going to work with him because he did this. I'm not going to work with her because she did with her that. No, fire upon that. For the Spirit of the Most High is upon you to bring good tidings to the brokenhearted and those who are bound. You have the power. It's not by you, it's by the power in you to release that. Because I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. Unity is the only acceptable goal, is the commandment of our Negus. So there's no room for little rice of disgruntlement. Fire upon that. It's that back. Harmony and unity. Sila, Sila. It's that back. Fireball, hot. Yes, I. So the dragon tail. The dragon tail. We have to overcome the dragon tail of the Ridley Lynch, with the distrustfulness, fear of each other, always looking at each other, waiting for each other to pull something out the bag, walking between each other, walking behind every footstep, looking for some folly. Oh, there go the folly. Oh, that's it right there. That's the folly. I knew folly was somewhere in there. Yes, no faith in the Most High, because he's in control. Fireball. To overcome this, we have to have the power of the power of powers, because all our power was gone. Revelation chapter 12, verse 5. Ethiopia, MIA, brought forth a man-child who was ruled all nations with the rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto Exhibir and to his throne. Is that me breath? Eli? Eli. Can the item still hear I? Selah? Selah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I cite the item, cite the screen?
Yes, sir.
I like give thanks for the tolerance and the patience. Selah, Selah, Selah. Eli. Yes, I. Psalms 2. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. Then he shall speak unto them in his wrath and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I said, I negus upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree, said the Lord, has said unto I, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of I, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of thy earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them as a potter's vessel. Bust open the brass gates and the iron bars. Be wise now, therefore, ye kings. Be instructed, ye judges of the earth. Serve Siamexibia with fear, and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and ye perish from the way, when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him. Selah, Selah, Selah. Ethiopia, Koheb, Negusi. Psalm 110. The Lord said unto I, Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send forth thy rod of strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies. Thy people will be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauties of holiness. From the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. The rising dew is upon I, and I. The Lord has sworn and will not repent. Thou art priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike two kings in the day of his wrath. Is that Membrak? He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head. Selah, Selah, Selah. Is that Membrak? Selah, 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 Selah. Abakudus Kadamawe, Kadamawe, Hadi Salati Sia makes it bear. Selah. Famous quotation. In your patience rest your iris. It's a proverb set by our king. In your patience rest your iris. The Hadikal of the Kiddush Selassie is the mighty power of peace, which is inner peace. So your heavens can't be moved into madness or sadness. For in sadness, we do things we ought not to do. In madness, we do things we ought not to do. But in happiness and joy, we do the right thing. In happiness and joy, we sing. In your patience rests your iris. Full explanation means there's simpleness and greatness and simpleness equals the pre-existence of the biochemical mathematical equation of the manifestation of rock, plant, air, fire, and water. Fireball, hot. I repeat. Simpleness and greatness, yet greatness and simpleness. The visible, invisible, see exhibit. Meaning Their simpleness and greatness in simpleness equals the pre-existence of the biochemical mathematical equation of the manifestation of rock, plant, air, fire, and water, which are on a basic foundation. The solid, liquids, and gases, the form of all the masses, and the space catalyst, and the matter that exists in the dense third dimension for the fourth dimension in time, and it travels inside our minds, for our Negus is the firelight transversing our spines. John 18, verse 12. Fireball heart. Abacadus Kinamawi, Adisalasi, Siam Exhibir. In your patience, rest your iris. Means there's simpleness and greatness in simpleness. Equals the pre-existence of the biochemical mathematical equation is the manifestation of rock, plant, air, fire, and water, which are on a basic formation, the solids, liquids, and gases, the form of all the masses, and the space catalyst, and the matter that exists in the dense third dimension for the fourth dimension in time, and it travels inside our minds, for our Negus is the firelight transversing our spines. John 18, 12. Light from the Bashafa Bahan, Book of Light, Abacadus Kenamawe, Adisalasi, Tiamixibir as the rock. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 4. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. Psalms 18, verse 2. Oh, rock of ages, cleft for me. Let I hide thyself in thee. Let the waters and royal blood be to sin a double cure, to save from wrath and to make me pure. O rock of ages, rock of our foundation. Selah, 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 Selah. The shield and buckler, Selah. John 18, 12. Then Nika spoke again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that follow I shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. Isaiah 26, 4. Trust ye in the Lord, shall makes the beer forever. For in the Lord above Jahai is everlasting strength. Selah. Deuteronomy 32, 4. He is the rock. His work is Ifrit, for all his ways are judgment. And Sion makes the beer of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he. Selah. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. And did all drink the same iridical drink, for they drank of that iridical rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. I repeat, and did all drink of the same iridical drink, for they drank of that iridical rock that followed them, and that rock was and is Christ. Selah, Selah. Psalms 18, verse 2. The Lord still makes the beers my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my Ixibir, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, my high tower. Selah, 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 Selah. Isaiah 26, 4, where it describes as an everlasting, steadfast source of strength and refuge. Selah, Selah, Selah. Trust in the Lord forever, for Siam Exhibir is everlasting strength. Trust in Siam Exhibir forever, for in Siam Exhibir, the Lord God, the anointed Lord God, Siam Exhibir is everlasting strength. The phrase rock of ages uses the image of a rock, which is strong, stable, and enduring, to represent Exhibir's unwavering nature and ability to be a source of strength and refuge. Deuteronomy chapter 32, 4. He is the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a Exhibir of truth and without iniquity. just and right is he. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4. And they that drink the same identical drink, for they drink of that identical rock that followed them, and that rock is Christ. Psalm 18:2. The Lord Siamexibir is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my Exibir, my rock, in him where I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower. Selah, Selah. The hymn, Rock of Ages, is also a well-known hymn, reference the same refuge and restoration. Abakadus Kadamawe, highly Selassie, Siam Exhibir is the Kadus Gesto. Isaiah 25, verse 6 through 9, John chapter 15, verse 1 through 17, Proverbs chapter 13, 12, the tree of life. Light from the Mashafa Bahan, Selah. Isaiah 25, verse 6, and in this mountain shall the Lord of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on lees, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on lees, well refined. Isaiah 25, verse 7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Isaiah 25, verse 8, he will swallow up death in victory, and the Sion Mixibir will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth. For Sion Mixibir has spoken it. Isaiah 25, 8, he will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord Sion Mixibir will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he wipe away from off the face of the earth. For the Lord Sion Mixibir Adonai has spoken it. Isaiah 25, 9, and it shall be said in that day, lo, this is our exhibit. We have waited for him. He will save I and I. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. Light from the Bahan, Mashafa Bahan, the book of light. The true holy gesto, the true holy gesto, the plant, the green that made the wine at the supper full, Selah. The wine, the gesso that made the honey wine full, sweet and bitter in your belly for the purification and the cleansing of medicinal herb, gesso, Ethiopian herb, for the touch honey. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husband. John 15:2. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he take it away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purge it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Fireball. John 15:3. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Selah. John 15:4. Abide in I, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, overstand that. Fireball hot. Fireball hot. Abide in I, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine. No more can ye, except ye abide in I. John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abide in I, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, you can do nothing. Fireball, hot. 15:16. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, fireball hot, and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned, fireball hot. John 15:7. If ye abide in I, and I words abide in you, you shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto the I. If the I abide in I, and I words in the I, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto the I. Heli, 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 Selah. John 15:8. Herein is I, Father glorified, that you may bear much fruit, so you be I, disciple. Selah, Selah, mighty I. John 15:9. As the Father has loved I, so have I loved you. continue you and I love. Selah, the love of peace. John 15:10. If ye love my commandments, you shall abide in love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abided in his love. Selah, Selah, Selah. The highly power of love for the love commandment is bring us into the power of peace. Abakadus Kinamari, Eli Selassie Siam, Exhibir, Ababa Jahai, Sila, 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 Sila. But I and I give thanks for the power of peace within the mercy seat in this time. Let I and I go forward to the power of the peace and emergency fireball hot earlier. Abba Kudus Kedamari, I just like to see him the Kudus Chibo. Ezekiel 10, verse 1 through 7, Malachi 4, verse 1 to 3, Isaiah 60, verse 1 through 4. Aliyah. Sila. Sila. Fireball. I'll trade it. Fireball. Sila. John 15:12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Neither golden rule. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you. John 15:13. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. John 15:14. You are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. Our holy commander, Selah. John 15:15. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant know not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. 15:16. Ye have not chosen I, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it unto you. Abakadus Kanamare, Hadisalasi, Tia makes it beer. John 15:17. These things I command you, that you love one another. This is a commandment. For unity is the only acceptable goal. Fireball. Hot. Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the sick, makes the heart sick. But when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. This part emphasizes the negative impact of delayed or unfulfilled hopes and expectations. When something we've hoped for doesn't come to pass, it can cause emotional stress and discouragement. But when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. This contrasts the previous point, highlighting the positive impact of fulfillment desires and the joy that comes with seeing our hopes realized. The phrase, a tree of life, suggests a source of sustenance, vitality, and lasting pleasure. For what is faith? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. The connection and interconnectedness. Remember our King's speech on personal responsibility. We will have to work closely with one another to fulfill our goals. Connection and interconnectedness. The tree's roots reaching into the earth and branches reaches towards the sky represents the connection between the earthly and the iridical realms and the interconnectedness of all life. Growth and renewal. The tree's ability to grow, bear fruit, and endure through seasons mirrors the human journey of growth, death, and rebirth, symbolizing hope and renewal. Balance and harmony. The tree's structure, with its roots, trunk, branches, and leaves, represent the balance and harmony necessary for a thriving life and spiritual development. Remember, the manifestation of the mathematical equation is rock, plant, air, fire, water, the rainbow aura, the rays of the sun, what you see, place it forward off the word, but it still brings us into eternity with it, the visible and the unseen. Selah. The tree's structure with its root, trunk, branches, and leaves represents the balance and harmony necessary for a thriving life and aristical development. Divinity and ancestry. In some cultures, the tree of life is seen as a symbol of divinity, ancestral roots, and a connection to the afterlife. Biblical significance. In the Bible, the tree of life is a powerful symbol of eternal life, appearing in both the Old and New Testaments. Selah, the Holy Gesel, and the tree of life. Here, I take a pause and give thanks this light for everyone coming forward. This is an effort to bring forth the moral tone and uplift the moral tone and morale of our people to rise from the earth out of Babylon's chaos, fail into the power of the Akel peace that has been given to us by our Negus. For a niggas a hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. A niggas a hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. A niggas a hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. A nigga say rise and shine and leave Babylon mine, and you shall gain a righteous mind. A nigga say rise and shine and walk the chalk line, and you shall gain a righteous mind. A nigga say rise and shine and seek him in this time, and you shall gain a righteous mind. A nigga say rise and shine and seek him in this time, and you shall gain a righteous mind. A nigga say hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. A nigga say hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. Yeah, why the niggas hold that sign? Why the king holding that sign? You're taking a picture, man gonna see that sign. Taking that picture, woman gonna see that sign. What's the meaning of that sign? A nigga to hold the sign up for his front line, so them can hold a righteous mind. Yes, I give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. Once again, welcome to the state of Neguselam. Sila, Sila, Sila. At this time, I will ask our Sergeant at Arms, is he there, ready to come forward with a positive word with the governance of our Constitution given to I and I? For the power has been given to I and I. The divinity and the sovereignty have been given to I and I in peace to work together. Aliyah, Sila, Sila. Chair?
Greetings, family.
Just bear with us one moment. I believe the president left the call abruptly, so I think I've just sent him a message. So hopefully he can log back in.
Neguselam, like we move. Well, I will continue until he forwarded it again. I had a request by a member of the Forward Strong for some information concerning our great Ethiopian master scholar, master teacher, and master activist, who's the embodiment of I aspirations as watchmen unto our nation. Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins, who spoke on behalf of His Majesty in Ethiopia to the League of Nations in 1935, telling them of their responsibility to intervene in this war of the fascist invasion of Ethiopia. Yes, I. So, I see if I could um, pull up this
Yes, sir,
information.
Chaplain.
Earlier. Well, okay then, Zaya. I was gonna put up the information on Dr. Huggins if the I hadn't forward, but right now we was taking an insult for the Sergeant at Arms to come forward with our word sound on our Constitution and the order of our Robert's Rules of Order and Business. Sila.
Yes, sir. One moment. Give me one more.
Yes, Chaplain. Give thanks. I don't know how I'm not hearing this. I'm coming over now. Chaplain, you want me? I'm gonna prepare to read
Yes,
for the
I.
Constitution.
Yes, I. We can hear that. Yes, I. Sila.
Okay, okay. Give thanks. Yes, I give thanks. We, the Black peoples of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, do hereby establish and ordain this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. The name of this organization shall be the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. The aims and objects of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated shall be to promote love and goodwill among Ethiopians at home and abroad, and thereby to maintain the integrity and sovereignty of Ethiopia, to disseminate the ancient Ethiopian culture among its members, to correct abuses, relieve oppression, and carve for ourselves and our posterity a destiny comparable with our idea of perfect manhood and God's purpose in creating us, that we may not only save ourselves from annihilation, but carve for ourselves a place in the sun. In this endeavor, we determine to seek peace and pursue it, for it is the will of God for man. To promote and pursue happiness, for it is the goal of human life and endeavor. C, to usher the teachings and practice the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man. D, to promote and stimulate interest among its members in world affairs and to cultivate a spirit of international goodwill and committee. CE, to promote friendly interest among its members, to develop a fraternal spirit among them, and to inculcate in its members the desire to render voluntary aid and assistance to one another at all times. F, to render voluntary aid and protection to its members without fee or charge for the same when in need, and if necessary, to provide care for refugees and disabled victims of the Italian-Ethiopian War. G, to give concrete material and voluntary aid without fee or charge for the same, and to all refugees and disabled victims to raise funds by voluntary subscription for the purposes aforementioned. There shall be no charge, fee, beneficiary tax, or assessment upon the members of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated, except for dues provided for by the Constitution and bylaws of the Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated. H, to encourage its members to develop interest and pride in democratic institutions and to promote democratic principles and ideas. May God help us to accomplish these aims and ideas. Yes, I highly I. And I wanted to just emphasize something, Chopper, real quick, to just kind of this is from the National Geographic 1931, talking about the coronation of Abkadus Gidamari, Kadamari Haile Selassie Sim Exhibir. And in this, the priests were chanting. I had it just right here. Give me 1 second. Because you were mentioning this chant. Yes, I. So as it says, they are escorted by the bishops and priests and princes and the high dignitaries, assistants, and others, carrying palm branches and chanting in mighty volume, "Blessed be the King of Israel." So it's not something that the chaplain's saying, something that the priests and the bishops and everyone was chanting upon the coronation, November 2nd, 1930, of His Imperial Majesty. So give thanks for these good tidings. Give thanks for the space. Back to the chair. Yes, I. Highly I. Blessed be to the King of Israel. Highly I.
Neguselam. Sila, Sila, Sila. At this time, I per request of a member that's been forwarding in good support of this state of Neguselam and our story, the member of Local 3. We want to, I want to take this time and to recover this, our great Ethiopian master teacher, scholar and activist, Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins, who spoke first on behalf of His Imperial Majesty Abakadus Kedamawi Haile Selassie Exhibir and Ethiopia to the League of Nations. And out of his efforts, they created what we know today as the unit that they send when their war breaks out and you have belligerent nations and you call a ceasefire and you send professors or the peacemakers down there to try to see what's the problem, what are there in dispute about, and to try to bring forth some type of resolve. So our master Ethiopian teacher, scholar, and activist, he brought this to them to show them that that's the way that in a modern time, nations are supposed to be dealing with things, right? Because before that, they wasn't dealing with that. So out of his speech, that effort did come, and that's what happened when they sent the ones to Ethiopia to see what the dispute was over. It was over an ancient well, the well of Walwal, which was 50 miles inside of Ethiopian territory. So how could it be a dispute between Mussolini and Italy and His Majesty about this well when this well is way inside of Ethiopian territory, 50 miles past the border? So there's really no dispute, but they try to make up something just to give them a president to invade Ethiopia. So at this time, I want to take a 5 minutes or so before we close forward to revisit the epitome, or the embodiment of ourselves as watchmen around Ethiopia, around the throne of Ethiopia. Selah, Dr. Huggins. Selah, Fireball. Selah. That's right. This is a picture of Dr. Huggins, Willis Nathaniel Huggins. Selah, Selah. We have Black History Month in February because of him. He sued the New York State Education, telling them that you can't have an educational foundation without including the Nile River civilization valley. You can't have, that's the foundation of education. You can't have an education without including this in it and speaking of it. That's what he was telling them, right? So they made a proposition, a compromise with him, and told him before they could introduce it into their public school system, he had to teach their white children first. Then they gave him the option for a night school for the black youth, which he became the assistant principal of the night school. And he taught at the white high school in the daytime, teaching them Nile Valley history. And he taught our youth at night, because most of the black teachers and parents, they worked in the homes or factories during the daytime to make a living. So they could only teach their children at night. So at this time, you had no schools for the black youth, then really. We had to create our own schools. The same way we are today. We have to have self-determination for our own nation. Still, still. So Dr. Huggins, he received the Ethiopian government's authorization to solicit medical supplies, nurses, doctors, veterinarians, and other trained civilian personnel. Martin also encouraged Huggins to campaign for a public loan arranged through a reputable banking house. Quote, Huggins, all African Americans who decided upon relocation will be expected to join the government's effort to build the Ethiopia of the future. Martin concluded a public interview by stating, Dr. Huggins has my full approval to proceed in the organization of such activities in connection with committees which may be arranged. So you notice the wording, committees, units. We're still moving in this fashion, right? But note here, the advice was for every one of the black people to take out a loan from the bank, then forward to Ethiopia with that loan and help Ethiopia in developing. Then, once development occurred, the crown would pay forward the loans. Red hot. Collective security for surety. The only one that I know through the Jerusalem schoolroom of study that took this advice and did it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was the program to clean up. So they put on the suits and business so ones could go to the banks and get the loans that was afforded and needed. He's the only one that I know that took this advice and put it to action. Right? Yeah. So that's what the establishment of the foundation that they used it for, the Nation of Islam. The Italian-Ethiopian War, New York Times. Sunday, October 4th, 1935. The die is cast. Ethiopia strives to repulse the invaders. His Imperial Majesty Abakudus Kadamawi Adisalati, Siam Exibir, and the next side Mussolini, who was empowered by Pope Pius XI to represent Rome. Yes, sir. So here's Dr. Huggins' speech. On August 15, 1935, after conferring with Ethiopian representatives in London and Paris, Huggins spoke before a committee of the Secretary of the League of Nations. His presentation called for the League to intercede and restrain Italian aggression and prevent any invasion of Ethiopia. Huggins began his plea with this international body by declaring, Africans and persons of African descent throughout the world have always looked with pride at the empire of Ethiopia, which alone of all ancient empires of black men in Africa still maintains its independence. The concentration of Italian men and munitions on the Ethiopian frontier, according to Huggins, is viewed with righteous indignation by the blacks of the Western world that are bound by racial kinship to the ancient and illustrious Ethiopian people. He further argued that an invasion and defeat of Ethiopia would threaten world peace, encourage the spread of fascism, make a mockery of Christian principles, and increase the guilt of modern Christian nations who have participated in the historical rape of Africa and the enslavement of millions of her children. Red hot. Huggins called for the League to act decisively and resolve the Italian-Ethiopian dispute peacefully. His presentation was concise. It linked the destiny of Ethiopia with the African diaspora and clearly identified Italy's aggression as a critical challenge to the League's goals of maintaining world peace and justice. Therefore, after his speech, Pope Pius XI put forth a decree, a word sounding saying, if our endeavors in Ethiopia are to be successful, then this Negro must die. And he put forth a list with Dr. Huggins' name on top of that list, along with his associates who came to the League with him as well. But he was number one on the list, because out of the Huggins speech, they put forth a committee of peacemakers to go down there and research the cause and the root of the disagreement for the war. So then the Pope put forth that. All right. Now we see when you come into Huggins, you first come into Huggins and it reads about a police report. A police report. I didn't know anything of Huggins. I prayed the I never heard anyone say that someone had spoken to the League of Nations on behalf of the king before the king. I haven't heard this sound from no one. in the history or the tradition of Rastafari. No one ever came with this word sound that someone else spoke to the League of Nations on behalf of our king, Abacadus Kenamawi Haile Selassie Mixi and blazed a fire upon them, and they assassinated him because of it. I never heard this sound. So when I was in the library in Texas, Fort Worth Library in Texas, I was hunting other things on Ethiopia and the king. They have, what I was hunting, they have a Jet magazine, and they put out the Line of Judas Men. But they had it in the index, but it wasn't there. When I looked, it was not there. And the other Time magazine, 1935 Man of the Year, it's supposed to have been there too. It was there, but the cover on that magazine was gone. Time magazine, 1935, when His Majesty, Light of the World or Conscience of the World, that magazine, the cover of that one was gone. But the line of Judas Men from Jet magazine, it was not there. But however, in looking for them things, this came across. I found this. I didn't even know about this at the time. And it just popped up on the screen and just came out at I. Yeah. And when I seen it, I just read it, right? I just read it. And it read right here. On Tuesday, July 15th, 1941, New York City detectives supervised the recovery of a male body from the Hudson River near 72nd Street. After contacting the Missing Persons Bureau, it was determined that this unfortunate person was Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins. His sister, Mrs. Goldberg Goldsby, and wife, Rosetta, identified the body at the city morgue on Wednesday rising. Huggins had been missing since December 23rd and last seen by friends and relatives at his home located at 1890 7th Avenue. He was reported to have $500 in his wallet at the time. This was not unusual since Huggins owned the Blyden bookstore and had been associated with several independent black publications. The only clues to his whereabouts was an overcoat that had been found on the George Washington Bridge and a letter that Huggins sent to his wife stating that something is going to happen. It sounds familiar, don't it? It sounds like our elder brethren, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, sending his letter to Betty. Remember, he sent the letter to Betty. They was following him. They was trying to get him. Huggins sent a letter to his wife stating something is going to happen. They were trying to kill him ever since he came from Geneva. They had a assassination of his character. First, they assassinate your character, and they push you aside from the people. Now everybody look at you as a traitor, as a Sambo or something. Now they can kill you. They can I pray that they can unlive you. For that word is not permitted. Unlive you, since we've been recorded and forwarded on. They can unlive you. I pray that in that manner, right? So they found his overcoat on the George Washington Bridge in New York, and he had $500 in his coat. And they said he committed suicide. Now, what black man you know in 1940 would jump off a bridge and he got $500 in his pocket? Even right now here today, $500 is a good sum of money for anyone to have in their pocket right here now. So what black man you gonna tell is jumping off a bridge in New York with $500 in his pocket? He was reported to have $500 in his wallet at this time. This was not unusual since Huggins owned the Blyden bookstore and had been associated with several independent black publications. The only clue to his whereabouts was an overcoat that had been found on the George Washington Bridge and a letter that Huggins sent to his wife stating that something is going to happen. At that time, at the time of his disappearance, Huggins was teaching history and economics at Brunswick High School in Brooklyn and serving as assistant principal at Harlem's Union High School in the evening. You see, he was working at the white school in the day and working at the black school in the night. Right? The Harlem community was both shocked and saddened to hear confirmation of Huggins' death. In the past 6.5 months, his disappearance had been hotly debated mystery. The press, his family, and his lawyer all publicly declared that Huggins had committed suicide. Fire. His students at the Blyden Society and the street community believed that Huggins had met with foul play from a gangster element due to unpaid business loans. You see, character assassination. And the gangster element is the Italian mafia, with ties that go right forward to the Vatican. For the Italian mafia is the strong arm, strong hand of the Vatican. We know this from historical references in our day and time from many things. Yes. All right. Say he committed suicide. Suicide. His students at the Blyden Society and the street community believed that Huggins had met with foul play from a gangster element due to unpaid business loans. The competing versions of his death have not been reconciled, nor does firm documentation exist to disprove either. Huggins had been associated with the Garvey movement since 1919. But however, here is a cover-up because the Garvey movement was in swing in 1919. The Garvey movement was in swing in 1920, 21, 22. This was the beginnings of it. But what was going on was Rastafari's mission to America that he sent, the Abyssinian mission, in 1919. And Huggins was the chaperone of His Majesty's mission to America, who was housed at the Capitol. And they flew the Ethiopian flag over Washington, D.C. in 1919 when the Abyssinian mission came forward. And Huggins was the chaperone of this mission. So how do we have a man with such stature, right? Now, we're reading about him being thrown off a bridge. We're reading about him got something to do with some gangster element and all of these things, right? But it's a cover-up. It wasn't the Garvey movement. It was the Ethiopian movement, and Rastafari was established in 1919 out of Chicago from the great riot that happened that summer. The Red Summer is what they call it. You can look it up. It's called the Red Summer, but they don't give you the foundation of this, or what's going on, and what happened during that time. Yes, I. He was recognized as a livicated and talented raceman by Harlem's leadership for more than 20 years. This brother had worked with more over than 20 years now. 20 years going forward to this time. In addition, he was the former president of the New York branch of the Association for the Study of New York Life and History, the executive secretary for the Friends of Ethiopia in America, a tireless advocate for including African and African American history and public school curriculum, and articulate voice for the Black History movement. In addition, he had a network of national and international friends and contacts that included J.A. Rogers, Carter G. Woodson, William W.E.B. Du Bois, Arthur H. Schomburg, Charles S. Johnson, Claude McKay, Jesse E. Moreland, Amy Jacques Garvey, Dantes Bellegarde, the Haitian ambassador, the Haiti ambassador to United States, President Stinio Vicente of Haiti, Ras Desta Demu of Ethiopia, and scores of former students in West Africa, Ethiopia, and London. It's vast. It's vast. The brother has students worldwide. His students were worldwide. Worldwide. And they had direct contact with His Majesty coming through Ras Desta Demu of Ethiopia. Right? So His Majesty was working to get him to set up the new educational system for modern Ethiopia. He's one of our foremost educational and scholars, right? Yes, So His Majesty was looking to set up the foundation for Ethiopia's educational system with Huggins, but they murdered him, and on December 23rd, he was unalive on December 23rd, 1940. And they weighed his goody down like they did Emmett Till. So it wouldn't rise, but it rose 7 months later in July. 7 days. What is this? 7 days? 8 days before His Majesty Earthlight and celebration of the liberation, May 5th, 1941, and his Earthlight, Malcolm Ledit, July 23rd, 1941. So on July 15th, this brethren Goody rose up to the top of the water so he could be liberated and take part in the celebration of the liberation of Ethiopia. For Ethiopian salvation is black salvation, and Ethiopia's liberation is black liberation. Selah, 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 Selah. Huggins was born in Selma, Alabama on February the 7th, 1887. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when they assassinated this brother, they cut off, they try to hide it. They threw him in bridge. And then they tell you in George Washington, in the school, that George Washington cut down the cherry trees, right? But it's in code. They threw him off the bridge and they cut down African cherry trees and wine and the future of that. And they hid it behind the George Washington name in the George Washington Bridge. Because after they unalived the brother, they changed the whole repatriation movement. Because here we see all African Americans who decided upon relocation would be expected to join the government's effort to build the Ethiopia of the future. So no one's going there on your own thing. No one's going to Ethiopia on your own tribe with your own thing going on. No one is going there with that. Everyone is going via the king and be working with the king. But the king even gave repatriation offers, a job working with the government and in the government, a house rent-free with an automobile to go along with it, and a 6-month paid vacation to come forward again to America and visit your relatives on vacation for 6 months with pay. And a house rent-free was the repatriation offer that the king gave in the time. For all of this, they unalived this brother, and it changed our whole repatriation movement. So I just wanted to take time, give thanks for the patience and the tolerance, to take time to revisit this by request of one of our members of the Eternal World Federation, incorporated to His Imperial Majesty as Commander-in-Chief of the Mahilton Far Right Forces, who requested to revisit Huggins. And so I revisit Huggins for just a spell here, this light on the state of Neguselam. Sila, Sila, Sila. Give thanks. Are there any questions?
Eli. Yes, I. Greet. Yes, family. Can you hear us?
Yes, I.
Yes, I. We're just going to say that the £500 that was in the brother's pocket in 1941 was worth £13,500 of today's money in today's value. Give thanks.
Fireball.
Yes, sir.
Fireball. So that $500 was worth $13,000 today.
Yes, sir. Yes. More than 13, nearly 13 and a half.
Hot. They said the brother committed suicide. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
Fireman. Yeah, give thanks for that word sound. I remember some. This is Neguselam to Local 12. Rastafari, Hail His Imperial Majesty. Brethren, that was a wonderful presentation. Now, I remember somebody was blocking the sound. I don't know if it was the eye or another brethren assistant from Local 49. Somebody told me about that story, but the name that never resonated. And this is the second time I'm hearing this, but you brought more clarity to it. I definitely give thanks for it, man. Definitely give thanks. So now I got the name. I got the name, and I got the full story. Brethren, truly give thanks for sharing that.
Yes, I give thanks. I is here for the, moral upliftment and knowledge reigns supreme, But, for knowledge, we put knowledge to light, When you take knowledge and you put it to light, then it becomes wisdom, So we're moving upon the wise mind to create I together and unity, What I wanted to put forward here, Dr. Huggins, I don't think I put it forward there. Information on his birth and what day and everything. I don't think I put it in there. Right here. Can I don't see the screen?
Yes, I.
Yes, I. Right here. Willis Nathaniel Huggins was born February the 7th, 1886 in Selma, Alabama. But they're not telling us everything about Selma either. Many of us think about Selma only according to the Edmunds Pettus Bridge and the Bloody Sunday when they beat the people marching for the right to vote there, but they don't know anything else about it. It became our Shopsville, like in South Africa, and our Soweto, like in South Africa, when the people stood up for their rights. Willis Nathaniel Huggins was born February 7, 1886, in Selma, Alabama. His father, Reverend A.Z. Huggins, was a respected Baptist minister. As a youth, Huggins received his first education at the Selma Training Institute. All right, this is what we're talking about. This place called the Selma Training Institute was the first black university or institution established by we during the time of slavery, under the heel of slavery. It was an effort to train our own pastors, our own spiritual leaders. For before then, every spiritual leader was trained by the overseers. But what separated us as Ethiopians born in this country, we was the first ones to learn how to read that English Bible. And we found ourselves as Ethiopia in it. And we coined the term Ethiopian or Ethiopia in our time. One of our foremost ones in this time is George Leal, who was born in Savannah, Georgia. George Leal, who also joined the Ethiopian regiment during the British and American Wars, and he fought under the British flag for the British. Lord Dartmoor, they had brought here, one of the so-called English lords from their chivalry, came to America and established an Ethiopian regiment. And the ironically is had a khaki uniform, right? And on their uniform they had the slogan "Freedom to the slaves," right? And His Majesty come now, and he reinstituted the khaki for his army, and he became Field Marshal General of his army with the khaki kabaka that he wear, the khaki cape that he wear, and it's so idle that no other army had the khaki, or no other army used the khaki until His Majesty come forward. From that time to now, because the British, they had on red coats. They was known as the red coats. And the American colonists, the Minutemen, they just dressed like they did at the time. But the Ethiopian regiment, they had khaki uniforms. Yes, I. And George Leal was amongst their ranks. And then after the Battle of the Potomac, or the siege of the fort there, he had to, they reneged on it. They said, any of these people who have been treated as slaves, unfree people, can join our ranks and you will give your freedom. However, they was losing the battle, and they took back that. So the brothers who was in the fort, they told them to have safe passage to Jamaica and the West Indies, that they must indenture themselves to them. And when they reached to the West Indies, they would give them the chance to work off the debt. Because they charged them at $700, £700 to make the voyage to the West Indies. So Huggins had his family in there, and he indentured himself to the British to make the trip to Jamaica. Once he got to Jamaica, he worked off the debt and established his own delivery service like a UPS in our day, because he had a team of horses and a wagon. And he was the first black preacher to reach Jamaica and preach Ethiopianism to the people who were not yet free in Jamaica at that time. And when His Imperial Majesty came to Jamaica on April 21st, 1966, Huggins was the only picture of a black man on the wall at King's house. He had a life-size picture of himself on the wall at King's house, because he established over 2,000 churches in Jamaica. He also bought 3 acres of land in Kingston. He established printing presses, not Huggins, but George Leal, I pray that I. He established printing presses and everything, printing booklets and pamphlets, and Garvey got all of that out of that. Garvey came and he reinstituted everything that George Leal did. So at the time, George Leal moved from Savannah through Alabama to Louisiana through Mississippi. So these places became a hotbed of what they call black nationalism. So Selma, Montgomery, Alabama, Savannah, parts of Mississippi, and Louisiana, Missouri have always been known as beds of black nationalism, and it was based off using the Bible in Ethiopia. So Huggins got his first teaching of Ethiopian from this school right here. the Selma Training Institute, who later became the Selma Institute of Selma University, with the alma mater of until Ethiopia stretched forth her hands. We're going to keep teaching this light and enlightening our people until the day that Ethiopia stretches forth her hands. This was the first alma mater of the Selma Training Institute. And also, from this institution came the first black missionaries to Africa who went to South Africa. And Desmond Tutu was one of their students who learned from them the Ethiopianism that they would call it, or Ethiopian eccentric for South Africa. That's why we have so much of the Rastafari in South Africa and rising up, because the foundation of Ethiopia was set there from these ones that came from Selma, Alabama, in the light of Huggins. It means more to I, because I myself was born in Selma, Alabama. So when this hit light to I, that light, when I was in the library in Fort Worth, it came across this police report of this missing person who had been thrown off the George Washington Bridge in New York. It just hit I. It hit I real hard, right? And the place where I had a place I was opening in Selma. The place where Huggins went to school, his elementary school, was right behind that place, forward that place. And so, and the other church, the Presbyterian church that was dealing a lot with that, was to the side of that. And we know the black Presbyterians, along with the Abyssinian church in New York, had a lot to do with the protests against the Italian fascism and the invasion of Ethiopia. Yes, sir. So give thanks. I just wanted to make some notes that we may not always hear about, with Huggins being born in Selma, Alabama, and the significance of it that lead and I always forward to the civil rights movement. Because right now, we have three things that are being taken away. For the president, the current president has rescinded the document signed by LBJ, the Civil Rights Act, right? There's three things that we got out of Abacadus Kadamari Adi Selassie Sion makes it be a victory. It's those three legislation right there. Four, really, with the treaty, but coming off of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All of this was protected under the article from Article 19 going forward, right? So the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and before that, Brown versus Board of Education, when His Majesty first visited America on May 25th, 1954, had just been won a victory on May 18th at the Supreme Court of the United States with Thurgood Marshall and Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who was the prestigious pastor of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in Old York. They was presiding during that time on behalf of the black peoples of this country, separate but equal. So these three articles of law, they are fighting to rescind in this country right now. That's what we gained from His Majesty, along with the treaty that our Minister of Education, Foreign Minister Ross Lazarus, was telling us forward about. The treaty that was signed on October the 8th, 1953, that is still extant today. Yes, I give thanks. So I give thanks for the patience and the tolerance. Also, for asking I to revisit this, because it's something profound that we should know. Our work of the Federation is to be a voice and a leadership in our self-determination, feeding ourselves, educating ourselves, governing ourselves. Give thanks. Selah. Are there any more questions at this time before we close up? If there are no more questions or statements at this time, I will ask the chair to bring forward our national anthem so we can close this session of the state of Neguselam. Selah.
It's a black man kingdom. Yeah, the land of like these do I swiftly gather. Your children are gathered to thee, O God. With our hope and our future before us, we hail and we chant and we sing. God bless our Negus, I who keep Ethiopia. To advance with truth and right, to advance with love and light, with righteousness leading, we hail to our God and our King.
Yes, sir. Neguselam, give thanks once again for everyone who took time out to
Yes, I give thanks, give thanks. I believe the chaplain might have prematurely dropped off. Work. But yes, grateful for everyone coming in today for the state of Neguselam and glad for the interaction. And hope everyone enjoyed this blessed Sunday. Weather is beautiful over here in our region. Hope the weather is beautiful for you all as well, wherever you all are.
earlier.
Yes, sir. All right, yes, sir. Welcome back, Chaplain. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let nice sit up, Keith. Earlier, I was knocked off forward there for a call. Sheila, give thanks. Give thanks. Earlier. Sheila. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But that's thumbs it up for this other state of Neguselam, section 7, 7 Tawahido covenants, the Negus, covenant of mercy, the new wine, the mystery of the Gesso, and new fast, the mystery of the Chabo, part 3 of March 3rd, the third month, 23rd, 2025. Gives thanks. Adu Ab, Weld, Memphis Kudus, Ali Kal, Abakudus Kanamari, Ali Silasi Siam, Exhibir, Bahama Ab, Weld, Memphis Kudus, Ali Kal, Abakudus Kanamari, Ali Silasi Siam, Exhibir. Our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth, throughout earth, as it is in Zion. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us at night. Tempt us in temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever, world without end. To the name and power of the King of Kings, Lords of Lords, conqueror Lion of the tribe of Judah, defender of the faith, the true light of this world, Father of African freedom and African unity. His Imperial Majesty, our Holy Father, Abacadus Kinamawe, Haile Selassie, Siam, Exhibir, Sila, Sila, Sila. Help us to come forward and uphold thy covenant of love with one another so we can fulfill our mission in peace and righteousness to come forward in this time. The Neguselam, Legulekemu, Malcolm Negatu, Albert Kudus Kadamawi, Hadi Selassie Siam, Exhibia. Yi Negusi Negetitu, Yedeli Meskeli. Yi Ethiopia, Koheb Negusi, Yi Negusi Kudus Wed. Amlakana, Helena, Wasawana, Hasana, Sata Masagana, 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 Amlakana, Helena, Wasawana, Sata Amasagana. Glory in the highest to our God, our strength, our protector. Amlakana, our God. Helena, our strength. Wasawana, our protector. Hasana. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed be the King of Israel. For Israel's God is Israel's king, is Israel's protector. How beautiful are the feet of him that stand upon the mountains of Untautal, that bring a good tidings of peace and of freedom and of joy, who comes in the most powerful name of our Amlak, is the most powerful deliverance of perfect peace and unity within him. Selah, 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 Selah. For we, the black people of the world, in order to effect unity, solidarity, liberty, freedom, and self-determination, to secure justice and maintain the integrity of Ethiopia, which is our divine heritage, to do hereby establish and ordain this Constitution for the Ethiopian World Federation incorporated to His Imperial Majesty Abacadus Kinamawe Adi Selassie Siam Ixibir, the anointed king of our tribe of the land, in accordance with his 1931 Ethiopian Constitution, Chapter 2, Powers and Prerogatives of the Emperor, Article 29, the Emperor reserves the right, with the advice and consent of Parliament, to declare war. He further reserves the right to decide what armed forces shall be maintained both in times of peace and in time of war. As Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has the right to organize and command the said forces, to commission and confer military rank upon the officers of the said forces, and to promote, transfer, or dismiss any of the said officers. He has further the right to declare a state of siege and martial law or a national emergency, and to take such measures as are necessary to meet a threat to the defense or integrity of the empire, and to assure its defense and integrity. Isaiah 55:4, behold, I have given him for a witness and to the people, a leader and commander to the people. Selah, Selah. Give thanks for our holy commander, the Lord of hosts, for inviting I and I into the Armageddon to take part in sealing our place in our biblical prophecy and biblical restoration of our nation. For I am love, I am light, I am life, I am liberation. Selah, Selah, Selah. Give thanks until we come again. Fireball hot. Selah. Give thanks, sir.
Yes, I give thanks. Bless the Lord. Perfect.